If you haven't started building your SaaS yet, don't. At least not until you've seen what I'm about to show you, because I see so many SaaS founders that whenever they get an idea, they get into building instantly. They start coding, they start adding a bunch of features, they make the UI look good, and they spend weeks on that. And only after that, they start asking, okay, so now who's actually going to buy this? And I think that's completely backwards, because before you start building, you need to understand what problem am I solving? Who am I actually building for? And why would they pay me to solve this problem? Now, real quick, if you don't know who I am, my name is Abed. I've been working with a bunch of B2C and B2B SaaS companies, and I've generated millions using Meta ads, Google ads, and TikTok ads. And one thing I've learned doing all of this is marketing does not matter if you don't know who the fuck you're selling to. And that's what I'm going to show you in this video. And if you've already built your SaaS and you're watching this thinking, fuck, I already built my SaaS, don't worry. Everything I'm about to show you still applies. So don't click off. Just watch what I'm about to show you. Okay, so the way I think about SaaS is very simple, right? Obviously, we're all building a business, and SaaS is a business that we're building. And obviously, we can all agree that the reason we're building a business is for money, right? So when we do build a business for money, most likely in the beginning, our focus is going to be to make as much money as possible. So whenever our focus is to make as much money as possible, we start making decisions of how can I make as much money as possible, which is wrong, right? However, we can also agree that solving somebody's problem is what's going to bring you money, right? So you want to shift your focus from how can I make as much money as possible to how can I solve somebody's problem the best, right? And now, how do we solve somebody's problem? Well, it's by understanding them deeply, which is what I'm going to show you in this video, right? And I'm also going to give you an example. Say you have a friend that came up to you, right? And you've known this friend for like 10 years, and he comes up to you with a problem, maybe a relationship problem, maybe something else that you guys can relate to in life. And he comes to you and he asks you for advice. You're going to be able to give him the best type of advice that is tailored to him, because you've known him for 10 years. You know exactly what type of person he is, what's his personality, what he likes, what he doesn't like, his lifestyle. So you're going to give him the best advice to him that's tailored to him and that he can understand and relate to the best, right? And whenever we build the SaaS, we want to understand our audience that deeply so that we can, whatever feature we build for them, becomes so tailored and so good that it's literally like giving an advice or giving a solution to your friend. But instead, now this time, you're not going to do it for free like you would to a friend. Now you're going to get paid for it. So instead of focusing on how can I make as much money as possible, focus on how can I solve somebody's problem the best way possible, right? So let's get straight to it. What you want to do before building anything is make an ICP framework. And what does ICP mean? Well, it's ideal customer profile. It's basically a document of understanding the exact type of customer you want to acquire, right? So obviously, say you were building a gym app. Now you're not going to be targeting people that are over 60 and people that are over 20 and over 30, because then your business is going to collapse, right? Your marketing, not every video is going to reach to those type of people, right? So you want to niche it down, right? So you want to be, I like this quote and I love to say and repeat it. You don't want to be the 90% taking 10% of the money. Instead, you want to be the 10% taking 90% of the money. And it makes sense. And this is how you can do it. You specialize in a certain area for certain people, right? So we can start with this. Okay, so I'm going to fill this out based on the EdTech B2C software that I was working with a couple months ago, and we managed to get them to like an 8-figure valuation. Anyway, so the market would be education slash studying, okay? And obviously that's very broad, so we're going to niche it down, and the age would be 19 to 26 university students. And the more you go down in this framework, the more niche you're going to get into your targeting. Job slash lifestyle, they might be working a 9 to 5, and actually full-time university student and part-time 9 to 5. Actually not part-time 9 to 5, but part-time working. All right, so their current situation, they are struggling to keep up while being full-time university students and working at a job at the same time. There we go. So now we can see that it's becoming more niche down, right? So what problem do they have? Well, the main problem is that they fall behind on lectures, assignments, exams, university work. Why is this a problem for them? Well, it's because they feel overwhelmed. I mean, their grades are going down and they feel like they have to play catch up. And you see how, as I said before, this is becoming so much niched down into the specific audience you want to target. Like you start from education, which is very broad, and then you went to the age group 19 to 26 and full-time university student and someone working. So this doesn't apply to all university students. It applies to university students that have a job at the side, right? And not only those that, but also people that struggle to keep up while doing that, right? So it becomes so much niche down, and this is how you become the 10% that's taking 90% of the money. So what happens if they don't solve their work? Well, their grades become worse, and they might not graduate. Easy as that, right? So this is the pain. Literally, this is the pain, right? But we're gonna dig into the pain even more. Okay, third, why does the problem exist? So you guys don't think like, what the fuck, why? I don't need this, I can already have in my head, whatever. Trust me, when you write it down and we answer these questions, it becomes so niche down that, ignore the niche down thing, it becomes so much easier for you to build a feature that actually applies to someone specific, right? And someone is actually going to buy a product. Second is that whenever you make videos like creatives for ads, meta ads, TikTok ads, or Google search ads, now you know exactly what type of stuff they will be searching, what type of content they're attracted to, and exactly how to target them and catch them and convert them, right? All right, quick pause. If you're building a SaaS right now and you feel like you're getting value from this video, subscribe, because I'm going to be posting a bunch more videos about marketing, about distribution, about building everything you specifically need to make your SaaS successful. But I'm not going to waste your time though, so let's keep going. So we'll go on to the next. What are they doing right now? So the current solution is studying manually from lecture slides, getting notes from friends, maybe watching YouTube videos. What have they already tried? ChatGPT, maybe YouTube, Reddit, X, TikTok, study guides. I already said Reddit. Yeah, this is enough, because right now obviously I'm not going to go in detail, but for you, you should obviously fill this out much more detailed than me. I'm just trying to do this in like a couple minutes so you guys don't get bored. But try to type down as much as possible, do as much research as possible. You can literally go on X, go on TikTok, go on YouTube, go on Reddit, search up this problem and see what they've tried, why it hasn't worked. Ask them questions. Why hasn't it been working? What do you wish was out there that could genuinely help you and stuff? Okay, so why isn't it working? Well, they still have to organize their lectures and all the material they get to study with into maybe flashcards, quizzes, etc. What do they hate about existing solutions is it takes too much time to even start studying. So because they have to organize and turn stuff into flashcards, quizzes, or whatever study method they use, it's going to take them more time, maybe half the time they would be spending on studying, to organize that stuff so they can eventually start studying, right? So what do they actually want? What's the current state? Well, the current state is that they're overwhelmed. They might be sad. They might have FOMO. They are behind on their courses or classes, whatever. I don't know what you guys call it in Canada or America, but yeah, courses or classes. Desired state. So their desired state would be something emotional, staying on top of university again, not having the FOMO feeling, not having to feel like playing catch up and always, and yeah, that's enough. Catch up. Okay, so we could go to the gap between the two. What is the gap between the two? Well, the gap between the two is that they need to revise and learn everything every other student does in less time. And notice how this isn't like, okay, the gap between the two is that they need flashcards or whatever. No, they don't need that. The gap between the two is that they need to revise and learn everything every other student does in less time. And so this is the gap that you need to solve, right? So how can we solve this? Obviously it's flashcards, but flashcards are not the gap. This is the gap. This is what's going to take them there. And there are many solutions for that. So why would they buy your SaaS? Well, the problem is, for example, I'll just give you one problem, but for example, turning lecture slides into flashcards is one thing, right? So turning lecture slides into flashcards take too long. Okay. Drop the feature/solution will be drop your lecture slides and get flashcards in seconds. What does it do for them? Well, it gives them, we don't have to fill this out, but it gives them flashcards in seconds. The outcome is they save 10 to 20 minutes, maybe even more to study. There we go. Where are they? So what's the platforms they're on? Well, TikTok, YouTube, Reddit, X, whatever. You guys have to make a research, see where they are. Instagram maybe here too, yeah. Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Reddit, X, Instagram. These are mostly like B2C platforms. Like all of the B2C, like the consumers you would be looking for are going to be on TikTok, YouTube, Reddit, X, and Instagram. Accounts they follow, so university accounts, how to account, study account, etc. Obviously, as I said, you guys are going to make more research than me. So content they consume day in their life, study, how to study faster, what more, exam preparation. They could also be watching motivational videos, etc. So things they search for. This is very important, right? So because you want to build out your SEO and your stuff, and you can even make blogs for this, right? Because if if you make blogs for stuff they search for and for stuff they're interested in, then it's going to become very easy. So one thing they could search for is, how do you manage uni and work at the same time? And you can literally write a blog for this that then goes into your SaaS, right? How to study faster is also a thing. This is very broad. What is the best way to study quick? Like, there's a bunch of stuff. Communities they're in, it could be university subreddits, university discords, etc. Very easy, right? And I'm also gonna give an example here, so that you guys are not just stuck with a B2C education type of niche, but you can also get an idea of how it we can also get an idea for how it would look for another SaaS, like a weight loss SaaS, right? So who is a 30 to 40-year-old parents working 9-to-5 job, they have kids, limited free time, struggle to consistently exercise or eat properly. They want to lose weight but can't stay consistent. Why? They don't necessarily lack information, they lack time. So like, if you, for example, say you were to build a weight loss SaaS here, right? If you didn't fill this out, you probably go into, maybe they lack knowledge and how, and you start building features and how to do it, whatever, but in reality they only lack time, right? So the traditional stuff wouldn't even work for them, and you would waste so much time building those features without any value, right? They wouldn't even have value, they wouldn't even fit for the ICP. So it would be very boring for me to go through this for you, with you guys. I'm just gonna drop this in the description, so it's fine. You guys are gonna have all of this in the description. And yeah, right here, the most important part obviously is you can have a good product but still market it to the wrong ICP. And yeah, here's an example. Imagine your app was specifically built for busy parents who don't have time to work out, but your ads are reaching experienced gym goers. And obviously they're gonna see the ad, they're gonna download the app, and they might even start a trial, but they don't convert. And then you're like, okay, why did they not convert? Well, whenever someone comes in your app, you don't know who they are. They're gonna start try. You might get excited, but they don't convert, and you're like, okay, but why is my traffic not converting? But you don't even know what traffic that's coming into your SaaS. And the thing is, what I see so many people do instead, they're like, okay, my ads are so bad, my paywall is bad, my product is bad, but in reality, the traffic that you just got does not even like align with the SaaS you built, right? So that could literally be the problem. You're selling the right solution to the wrong person. Anyways, I'm gonna drop this in the description. Yeah, this is it. And one last thing, your ICP isn't something you're supposed to have perfect from day one. You're probably going to launch your product, you're going to get users, you're going to get a bunch of feedback, and you're going to fix your product. And usually day by day, you start iterating into the perfect product you actually want to build. And that's fine, because the point isn't to perfect everything in day one before you even built anything or gotten any feedback from real users. The point is to not blindly build a SaaS and actually have a base, understand that, okay, this is actually going to take someone from point A to point B and actually solve their painful problem. So before you build a SaaS, understand the person, understand the problem, and understand the solution, and then get into building and try to genuinely help people. Don't build just some AI slot. Anyways, that's it. If you feel like you got value from this video, hit the subscribe button and maybe turn on the notifications if you feel like you want to get more value, because I'm going to be posting a bunch of more videos. I'm going to try to stop posting at least like once every 2 days, or maybe like 3 times a week. And if you feel like you're stuck on something else within your SaaS, drop me a question in the comments. Maybe I'll make a video about it, or maybe I'll just answer your question instantly. Otherwise, you guys can hit me up on IG or X. I'm gonna leave my links in the description, and there's also a playbook in the description that you can go through if you want more questions answered. All right, I'll see you in the next one.